Hey everybody, it's Michelle here in Northern Illinois Zone 5. It is officially fall. I'm so excited. We have passed the threshold of summer and we are in fall. The temperatures have totally dropped. We are in the 70s during the day and in the 50s at night. So it's perfect weather for fall planting. Fall planting is great because the ground is already warm. It was warm all summer long, and unlike spring when you're waiting for the ground to warm up, it's already there. So therefore, your plants are going to respond a lot better to that. The temperatures are cooler, so they're not stressing out in 90 and 100 degree weather. And 3, the ground actually holds moisture a little bit better in the fall because it's not evaporating out in the heat. The other thing is your plant really isn't working on producing a lot of leaves. It's getting ready to go to sleep and go dormant. And a lot of the plants that you plant this time of year, maybe you go to the nursery and they don't have any leaves on them because they've already defoliated, because sometimes in their pots, they'll lose their leaves faster than if they're in the ground, because all plants when they're in their pots are a little more stressed than when they're in the ground. So fall is a great time to do this planting. So we're gonna plant some trees today. We're gonna plant 2 fruit trees. We're gonna plant 1 multi-trunk serviceberry that's a ball and burlap. We're gonna plant 2 Japanese lilac trees that have totally defoliated, and I'm going to show you what to look for on those trees. If you go to the garden center and is it alive? It doesn't have any leaves on it, but it's on sale because everybody's got their trees on sale right now. Then we're also going to plant 2 trees in pots so you can kind of see all 3 ways what I'm doing and how I'm planting those and what to look for. So let's get going. All right, so I picked out 2 Japanese lilac trees from the store. I've had them in these pots for a couple years. I worry about whether or not they're going to overwinter a 3rd year, so I'm going to get them in the ground. Now, they have totally defoliated. They've lost all of their leaves. And so if you go to the garden center, what are you looking for if you find a tree that doesn't have any leaves on it and you want to know if it's still alive? Well, one of the things that you're looking for is you're looking for healthy buds on the ends of the branches. So see how these all have little buds on them? All up and down the branches. Those are your future leaves for next year. The other thing you can do is the scratch test, where you come in and you're going to scratch, the bark, see, and you want to make sure that it's still green underneath. So those are definite signs that the tree is still alive. And what's really nice is I'm going to get it in the ground and it's going to work on building roots and not leaves, and that's going to be perfect, and it's just going to go to sleep. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the ground, and it's going to be the exact same depth as what's in this pot right here. I want this little root flare right here to be above the ground. So we've got our circle dug. We removed the grass. Now we're going to dig our hole and then we'll mulch it in. Okay, we've got our hole dug, and now we're going to, we took it out of the pot, and see, you can see here it's got a nice root system in it. I might want to take a shovel and maybe loosen that up just a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna, I got some big roots in there too. I think it's gonna be totally fine going in like this. And again, don't forget, plant it high, it'll grow to the sky. Plant it low, it won't grow. So we roll it in. Okay, and then we're gonna backfill it so that you have good soil to root contact. Make sure you get all those air pockets out of there. And as you can see here, see, it's above the level of the ground. You don't wanna plant it low. And then we're gonna water it in, and then we'll mulch it. All right, the other thing I do is I always make sure that before I start to backfill it, I make sure that I put the best face forward, is what I like to call it. Is it the direction that I want it to be? Now, if you have a great big ball and burlap and it's really hard to turn, sometimes you can put water in the hole and then it's easier to turn it if it's still the ball and burlap. Now, this is just a container, so it's pretty easy to turn. The other thing is, as you're backfilling it, make sure people are looking at it from a distance, from a couple different directions, to make sure you plant it straight. Fine. The other thing is you want to make sure that you water in the fall. Even though it's cooler out, they still need an inch of water a week. You still need enough water on them that they can develop their roots. Now, one of the things that I like to do, because I'm really busy and I'm not always home, is I like to use the tree watering bags. So DeWitt makes these, and they make 2 different kinds. This one here is a stand-up bag, and it's good for trees like this, because you can put this at the base of the trunk. It's going to hold 20 gallons of water, and then it's going to release the water out of little holes in the bottom. I totally got my plant watered, and I don't have to worry about running a hose out here on a slow trickle, and then I forget it, and then I overlove my plant and take the roots out because I rotted them. This makes it nice and easy. Now, I don't leave it on in the winter. I do take it off and I store it inside, and then I can use this again next year in the spring so that I can get good watering on these next year. Because even though I'm putting them in the fall and they're going to go dormant pretty soon, or actually these are already starting to go to sleep, they still will grow some roots because the ground is warm, so I want to keep them watered. I will keep watering these until the ground freezes. Now, in my area, that might not be until the beginning of December. In some areas, it might be sooner, or it might be later, or maybe you never really totally freeze altogether, and you might have to come out and water your trees every 2 or 3 weeks. If you have snow cover on top or the ground is frozen, you don't need to do that, because all you're going to do is create ice, and you don't want to do that. Snow cover on top actually is great insulation for the tree. So I'm going to put my tree bag on here and fill it up, and this guy will get watered. All right, let's show you how to exactly put it on. It does come with instructions. You can just read those. But as you can see here, it's a drip irrigation bag for watering trees, and it continuously releases water for 5 to 8 hours. Okay, so it tells me that I want to wrap the DeWitt bag around the base of the tree. Okay, and as you can see, there's a zipper on here. Okay, see the zipper? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zip that up around the tree. So I'm going to zip it up around the tree. All right, now that I have zipped up my guy right here on my tree, one of the things you want to make sure of is that you have a trunk that's big enough. Now, this is probably 3/4 of an inch caliper, and I think anything smaller than you would have to use the donut watering system, which I'll show you in just a minute, because this holds 15 gallons of water. It gets really heavy, and so if this is a little sapling tree, this watering system isn't going to work. So what you're going to do is you're going to zip it up on there, and see it's got 2 handles right here, and then see it's got an inner pouch right here. This is where the water goes, is right down in there. And I'm not going to fill this one up because I have to go get a hose to add to my hose, because I don't have enough hose to get all the way out here. So I'll do that and come out and water them in just a little bit. But after you get it about 1/4 of the way full, you're going to grab these 2 handles right here and like pull it up and like settle the bottom so that it like is flat. And then that will water this root ball for you. And what's cool is it's watering the whole root ball instead of one little spot where you're putting a hose. And I only have to fill this up once or twice a week, depending on how hot it is. The goal is to get an inch of water on your root ball once a week. It is so beautiful out here. There is just enough of a breeze to keep you from like sweating and getting hot. It's absolutely gorgeous. So as you can see here are my 2 Japanese lilac trees. These are the Ivory silk, and they're going to grow in zone 3 through 7. These things are going to be gorgeous next year. They are what they call a moderate grower. They get these really pretty 6 to 12 inch long flowers on them in like early summer, and these will be like an ivory white, and they have like a lilac look to them. And the trees themselves are from like Eastern Asia. We grow them here as an ornamental. Now these get, what does it say? 20 to 30 feet tall and 15 to 20 feet wide. So as you can see, I've given plenty of room in between them for them to grow. I've got to get the other watering bag on, and these flank like the end of the cutout on my driveway. So I'm very excited that these are here. I planted them far enough back that even if I put snow up on the end of the driveway, I'm not going to get them on those trees. So super excited to have these. All right, the other thing I planted was I did get a peach and a nectarine tree in, because I've been wanting to replace the ones that I lost a couple years ago. So this used to be the field out here where there was a garden of vegetables, and for me, I like to garden in the raised beds, so I don't garden out here, but I never really did anything out here to fix like the dirt and put grass in. It's just like kind of weeds and stuff. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do out here. But right now I'm going to start a little mini orchard out here. So I have decided to plant a peach tree, and here it is right here. And again, this is a great time to plant it. I have mulched the bottom. Now I might have to guy this tree, and what that means is I'm probably going to have to put some stakes around it, maybe for the first season to hold it upright, because it is a pretty young tree. I want to say this tree is in its 2nd year. And it will be on a dormant spray schedule this winter, and I'll take you through those when I do it. But this one here is a peach tree, And let's go over the specs. It's called a Contender. All right, so this tree is gonna, at maturity, be 10 to 15 feet high and 10 to 15 feet wide. And again, fruit trees need to grow in full sun. So I chose this tree because of very specific reasons. So this is a cold hardy selection. It's ideal for growers in northern climates. So I'm in a northern climate and I want to make sure that this guy can live. It's going to produce large, round, red, blushed yellow fruit with excellent flavor. This is a freestone tree and it's self-pollinating. And what that means, freestone means that when I grow the peach, the pit will release easily from the center of the peach. It also means that it's self-pollinating, so I don't have to have another cultivar of a peach for this thing to create fruit. And so I know it's really healthy because see, even though it's got leaves too, it's also got a lot of branches on here that have buds for next year. All right, so this is the Contender peach and it's gonna grow in zone 4 through 8. So that means it's got a good cold hardiness because I'm in zone 5. So whenever I try to plant a peach or a nectarine, I always try to find zone 4. I find that if I try zone 5 and I get a really harsh winter, I lose them. So I always try to find a fruit tree that's maybe a zone higher than the zone that I'm in, just to hedge my bets a little bit. The other thing is this is gonna grow 13 to 24 inches per year. So that's a decent growth habit as far as how fast it's going to grow. Okay, so here's my nectarine tree, and it does look a lot like the peach tree as far as the leaf structure goes, but this one is a nectarine and this one is a red gold. It's going to grow 15 by 15 and I've spaced them 12 feet apart. This one is also a freestone golden yellow fleshed. It's sweet and tart. This produces great fruit that's good for snacking, pies, tarts, jams, preserves, and I want to use it for all of those things. It is also self-pollinating. It is also a freestone, and I love that about them. And the difference between a peach and a nectarine, if you don't know, the peach has the fuzzy outside and the nectarine doesn't. They have a little bit of a difference in flavor. I like both. I like to eat both, use both. This one also has a growth rate of 13 to 24 inches a year, also grows in zone 4 through 8. So there you go, my 2 little fruit trees. I'm very excited to get those in. So now I have 1 cherry, 2 apples, and a peach and a nectarine. So we're growing our little orchard area. Even though they're in all different places, I'm so excited to have all this fruit. Now here we've planted a little bitty Colorado spruce, and you might find an area at a garden center that maybe has a scratch and dent. That's where I had this one because as you can see, the tips are starting to turn brown. And the reason that was happening is because it was so overgrown in the container that we just couldn't get enough water to it to keep it nice and healthy. So I'm like, you know what, we need to get that in the ground. Now you might be tempted to fertilize it, but now is the wrong time to fertilize. I do not want to push growth. It will not have time to harden off between now and winter. So I'm going to put it in the ground. I'm going to water it in. This is my pretty Colorado spruce, and we are going to be putting some mulch around the base of it to help hold the moisture in. We just cut out an earth saucer around it, backfilled it just like we did the other ones. We made it just as deep as it was in the pot, and then we backfilled it. Now this Colorado spruce is going to get 30 to 60 feet high by 20 to 30 feet wide. So I have this here kind of backing. There's my little wooded area. So I've got plenty of room for this to grow. It's in full sun, which is what they need. And they do want good drainage. They do not want to sit in an area that's got standing water, even in the spring, because that will take them out. So make sure that it's got good drainage wherever you put it. So again, full sun, 8+ hours a day, 20 to 30 feet is about how wide they're going to get. So make sure you give them enough space to grow. If you're planting things next to each other, don't let them grow into each other. You end up with problems later. Make sure you space them and give them enough room. Because see, we're putting a little Black Hill spruce down there. Make sure you give them enough room that they have, you know, plenty of space to grow and have airflow in between them. All right, and this little cutie grows in zone 2 through 7. And so I think he'll be totally fine during this winter. I don't think I let it go so long that he's not going to recover. I have every hopes that this guy is going to be 100% perfect next year. Now this is a Colorado spruce, and look at how that needle is nice and long and pretty and green. So this is a green Colorado spruce. This is also a spruce, but this is a Black Hill spruce. And this has got like a softer, shorter needle on it. And again, the same exact thing on this one. See how the needles on it are looking kind of brown? And I was the same way. It was in that little bitty pot and I couldn't keep it watered well enough. So we've got it in the ground, and the Black Hill spruce is going to grow in zones 3 through, Zones 3 through 6, it's going to get 20 to 40 feet high and 10 to 15 feet wide. So it is a smaller little spruce than the one that we just planted, the Colorado. I do have them like next to each other. See, you can see one there. So they've got plenty of room in between them to grow, and I'm growing them right here behind my shed. And so my goal is that I put a door on the back of this shed, and I do think I'm going to put a chicken run back here. And so this will create a nice, beautiful screen of these growing back behind the shed. And I know that's a long time from now, but I don't care. They'll still look great. And then they're kind of like, you know, in front of my little row of woods here. This one is going to grow anywhere from 12 inches or less per year. So it's a slower grower than the Colorado, which grows up to 2 feet a year. And I just think this is great. So again, full sun, good drainage. I think these guys are going to be very happy here. Love them. I am out near the cottage garden where we took all the grass out. And what I want to do is I'm going to flank the entrance with these two Green Mountain Boxwoods. And these grow in zones 5 through 8. And they are beautiful. I just love the cone structure on these, and that's what a Green Mountain does, but you do have to prune them to keep that cone shape. Now these are little ball and burlaps, and what we'll do is, again, we're going to dig the hole as deep as we need it to go so that it's to the top of the burlap here, and then we're going to pull this burlap away a little bit when we put it in the hole. The burlap is there to hold those roots in place. So I know I've seen other videos where people are pulling that burlap all the way off. I never do that. I'll pull it away from the top. I don't want that root ball to get all loose and unintact, because that can kill your tree when you're putting it in the ground. So we're going to just pull it away from the top and put it in the ground, and it's going to be a little bit above the level of the dirt. Then again, we're going to backfill it, and then we're going to water it in. Okay, so I just want to get it pulled away. I'm like, there's nails in it. Okay. See, and then what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it away from the top here, and then I'll just cut this excess out, and then we'll see there's a little bit of excess right there. I'll cut that out, and then we'll backfill it. I love this little guy. He's only going to get maybe 5 feet tall, so just a little bit shorter than me, and maybe 3 feet wide. Again, they grow in zone 5 through 8, and unlike some boxwoods that get that bronzy cast in the winter, these guys will keep their nice, beautiful green color. So Green Mountain Boxwood might be one to try. All right, the last two things I want to plant are, I do have 2 more Green Mountain Boxwoods, and they're the same cultivar as the ones that we just put in the ground over by the arbor going into the cottage garden. I got these because they were a great deal at the nursery. And you know, you can't pass up a great deal. You guys know when you go to the nursery and you see this great deal, you got to have it, and you'll find a place to put it. And I will find a place for these in the spring. I don't have a definite plan for them yet, but I want to use them this winter on my front porch for Christmas. And so because my porch is protected, they'll do fine there. And then I can push them into the garage once we're through Christmas, and they can overwinter in the garage. And then I will bring them out in the spring and plant them. Now, the reason I'm not leaving them out all winter is because these are zone 5, and that's what zone I'm in. If you are planting in a pot, the rule of thumb is that you should try to go for a zone 2 zones higher. The plant itself 2 zones higher than the zone that you're in, so that they can overwinter outside. The other thing is, you need a vessel big enough for them to overwinter and have a good base of dirt in them. You also need to have it thick walled enough that it can offer some insulation. So a big glazed ceramic pot works really well if you've got one that's well constructed and it's not going to crack on you in the cold of the winter. Here, terracotta doesn't work so well because we have a tendency to have cracking that goes on, but concrete works really well too. So I have these 2 black painted concrete pots that I'm going to use. Let me show you. They're gorgeous. So this is the pot that I'm going to use. I love these. These are so beautiful. See, and they're deep enough. They have drainage in them that I'll be able to get, see that root ball in there, and insulate that really super well. So one of the things I will do is I will tamp down the dirt in here because I don't want to have a lot of settling. And so I'm going to fill it up as far as I need to fill it up. And right now I've used about a bag and a half of the fertilome. And then I'm going to put my root ball right down in here, and then I'm going to backfill. Okay. Let's see if I can manhandle this guy in here. Oh, that's a perfect fit. Look at that. Now, he's a little high, so I'm thinking I'm going to take a little bit of the dirt out because I want him to be sunken in this pot so he's good and protected and insulated. So I don't want it high in the pot. I want it a little bit lower. All right, I took some of the dirt out. Now let's do it again. Ooh, that's perfect. And then as you backfill, you want to make sure that it's straight and you don't plant it crooked. So you might have to like stand back and look at it if you're by yourself to make sure that you pack that dirt in there, because you still want to get the dirt in here really super good. I got dirt in the second one. Let's get this one in too. Ooh, these are a little heavy. Okay. Make sure they're straight, and then I'm going to backfill them. Oh, aren't those sweet? I love that. All right, the last one we planted was a big ball and burlap. This is a Serviceberry. It's an autumn Brilliance. We did the multi-trunk. I love these trees. They're native. They are all seasons. They look great. So in the spring, they have white flowers. In the summer, they have this great shape. They have this open vase shape. They get about 20, maybe 25 feet tall and maybe 15 feet wide. And the birds love them. And they get these little berries on them. Now, the berries are edible, and you can make jams and pies and different things with them if you can beat the birds to the berries, because the birds love the berries. And then in the fall, this thing turns red. It will grow in part shade and full sun. The thing with the part shade, though, is you don't always get the brilliant red color that you get in the sun, but they're still absolutely gorgeous. These things, I think, are absolutely fabulous. So I have planted this at the end of the boulder walkway, connecting the two gardens to kind of create a little bit of a screen. And so as you go around the corner, see, then you go into the hot mess garden that I haven't cleaned up yet, but it's going to be that transition tree that bridges us around the corner to go to the cottage garden. So pretty cool. Oh, and zone 4 through 9. So pretty good growing range and a very good cold tolerance. The other kind of tree bag that DeWitt sells is they sell these little donut ones too. So if you have a tree that you want to put one on, and maybe that stand-up one it's too big, it's got too much weight on it, and you've got a little bitty skinny tree that it's not going to handle the weight of that, you can do these donuts as well. This is the perfect tree for the donut watering bag. So we're going to get some mulch on it, and then I'm going to put the tree bag on and fill the watering, I guess the spout where the water goes, fill it up, and then you guys can kind of see how that works. Now, I did plant this guy kind of high, and I planted him high because this is a little bit of heavier clay soil here, and I want to make sure that it drains away, and I think I have a better shot of this guy doing well if he's planted high. So I have one growing in the back, and I did the exact same thing. It's been in there for 2 years, and it's doing fabulous. So this worked great for me. So let's get the mulch on. Okay, so I got my donut out, and as you can see, it's not an enclosed donut. It's got an opening so that way you can get it around the tree. The other thing is it's got these little watering pegs. This is what goes on the bottom because that's what's going to release the water to let it out. And then on the top, it's got a little valve right here. You just open this up, and then you put your hose in here and you fill it up. So let's go. All right, that's how full it should look when you're done. It's that easy. That took me 3 minutes to fill that. So there we go. If you're looking to plant a tree this fall, it is a great time to do it. Go to your garden centers, go to the box stores. They're probably all on sale, and it is a perfect time to get them in the ground. I love everything that I planted, my 2 fruit trees, my 2 spruce trees, my 2 lilac trees, and my 4 Green Mountain Boxwoods. I have them flanking either side of my garage, and they'll stay there until I'm ready to flip the porch for Christmas, which that will be totally awesome. And it's a great way to decorate and use something from nature that you can put in the ground in the spring. And I love that as well. So I'm Michelle. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Keep on gardening, guys. Bye.